everyone to our episode number 17 of Drops of Wisdom. In this section of the podcast, we are going to discuss the book Connect by David Bradford. And we are going to talk about, do you want to create exceptional relationships? That's the topic of today, how to connect much better than we are doing. And now that we have lived this stage of isolation, we are going to learn how to get deeper into the friendships and people that we are attracting. Often in our lives, we find ourselves at crossroads with the relationships that we are building. More after this deep stage of forced isolation. Everyone in their lives is dealing with the uncomfortable pain of loneliness, feeling clumsy to rescue some relationships, and grief letting many of them go and many people that they loved go. However, it is now your choice which relationships are going to stay and learning to build a fresh new circle. That's the process that we are going to start diving deeper. The main quote of this book is, "It takes two to tango, and if the other person isn't ready or doesn't want to meet you on your level, the relationship won't progress." And that's the stage that we are living, as many more contradictory or empty phenomena are developing in terms of these ghosting things, that people don't answer messages or they just don't reply to what you are saying to them. Then that's the process of finding what kind of relationships you are going to keep and which ones you are going to just let them go. Think about the relationships in your life, your bonds with friends and colleagues, family members, and romantic partners. Maybe you are not sure if they are exceptional, material, but you would like them to go from casual to personal, from competitive to collaborative, or simply from dysfunctional to functional. So, how can we get across this kind of relationships and start doing a much deeper work? You want and you don't need and you can't develop an exceptional relationship with everybody. These deepest, most authentic connections demand time and effort. That's not to discount less intense relationships, which provide other things we need and crave. Things like intellectual stimulation, social interaction, and of course, fun. So we will have different types of friendships. We will have different type of people. So not everyone is going to be a person with whom you can establish a deeper connection or share more about you. So before we begin, we have to choose 4 to 5 relationships that you would like to be deepened. Keep a journal to document your thoughts and process experiences that pay off the most when you reflect on them and then try to understand them. That's the process that you are going to start learning how to have better interactions with the people that you uh, are creating now, are having, are attracting. So in order to cultivate more the type of relationship that you want. Keeping up false fronts can be exhausting, which happens a lot in social media platforms because people are just giving a false expectation on social media facades and crushing it because they are often anxious and they don't know how to get approval. So instead of posting every little detail of your life, think more about the relationships that are outside the platforms and think what are you doing to cultivate them. No one wants to be judged or look weak in these kind of platforms. So that's the deal that this kind of um, digital content is doing to us, is creating dysregulation of our hormones, of many neurotransmitters, and we don't even realize when we are very anxious because we are not posting anything about our lives in the social platforms. So just be careful with how you do it, and whenever you feel this kind of anxiety because you are haven't posted anything about your life, just think, is it really necessary to post something about me, or I just want to keep my business going and post about what I do? So just reflect on those things, because the moment you distract yourself from these kind of platforms, you are getting more and more immersed and pulled by this game of neurotransmitters that is playing with you. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and many of these neurotransmitters and many hormones are just being primed by this kind of likes, views, comments, etc., that you receive from these kind of platforms. Um, then what you have to do to be authentic is to start knowing yourself more, and doesn't mean that you have to reveal everything about yourself to everyone. It means sharing genuinely and wholly the parts that are important to a specific relationship. Authentic self-disclosure results in the first hallmark of an exceptional relationship, which is that both people can fully be themselves. That's the most empowering relationships that you can create, where you really don't feel judged, when you really can open up and speak about the feelings that you have, and when you feel that safety that the other person is there to listen to you and many times to give you a very good advice. Of course, there will be a risk of oversharing in any given interaction, but there is also a risk in holding your cards too close and not disclosing what is happening to you. The other person will probably be reciprocate to this behavior, so causing a relationship either to grow or to stall and be in the comfort zone. The authors propose 15% rule of sharing to address this dilemma. Now we are going to imagine three concentric circles that we are going to cross from expanding the relationships. At the center we have the zone of comfort. These are the things, the comments, the sharing space where you feel totally safe doing or saying. As you move outward of this center circle, the next circle represents the zone of learning, which is where you are unsure of how the other person will respond to the comment, but you are learning if you can grow this relationship or not. The outmost ring is the zone of danger, so we are moving along to the right, and the zone of danger consists of things you wouldn't ever utter or do, given their likely negative repercussions. So this is the zone where we better think more about what we are going to say or do before we hurt someone. To avoid landing in the danger zone, test the waters by expanding the comfort zone into the learning zone in increments, just by 15% each time, and just test what kind of things you can share with different kind of people, and if this relationship feels safe. Use more your intuition. With each success, wade in another 15% and start going beyond. In practical terms, this might mean confiding something slightly risky to a friend instead of just playing in the safe space. Sometimes, for example, saying, sometimes I worry about what other people think about me. That's something that is vulnerability right now. So you are feeling vulnerable in this space. What you can do in these uh, comments is measure what you are going to say. For example, be more specific. The other day, I commented on your eating habits and have been worrying about what you have thought of me ever since. If you feel that the other person is uncomfortable with this kind of comment because you probably say it too blunt, so just try to test the waters. When sharing, both facts and feelings are important since they reveal different pieces of information about you. Cognition and the learning process denotes what is, while emotions will tell how important it is to share these kind of things. Facts are usually easier to share because they don't have feelings, but feelings can be a little bit blurry in the picture and how to focus because maybe you don't even know how you feel. So just allow yourself to be in this safe space and then express your feelings. Be aware of the language that you use. The phrase I feel, for example, can be used in both a constructive and a detrimental way. Saying I feel upset by your comment is different from and more useful than saying I feel like you want to dominate this conversation or you want to have the reason, which sounds like an accusation. So just say that some kind of comment made you uncomfortable, and that's it, because the other person will know that you have to be more subtle or more empathic with the kind of comments that you are using. So this is how we are going to navigate in this new stage of being more social and constructing exceptional relationships. I hope that I have given you some helpful tips so that you can test the waters in your new social circle and construct more expanding connections. Remember that every relationship needs nurturing, reciprocity. It's like a plant. We need to cultivate the relationships. We need to be in touch. We need to send some messages just to see how the other person is doing and um, share a little thing about yourself so that you can start a conversation. Thank you very much for being here. Have an amazing afternoon and rest of the day. If you like this content, please help me to share it with other people. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.